Hi, welcome back to the shop. So, what's the topic today? The topic is family and how much time you're spending with your family. This video is going to be for you old timers and you young bucks that are just getting into the business. And that's how to balance your workload. For many of us, this isn't just a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 4, what have you. And in the beginning, when you're trying to get the business up and going, you're working 16, 18 hours a day. And most of the time is 7 days a week. Because you as a business owner carry the weight on your shoulders and you're putting in the time to try to make it work. Hopefully, if everything paid off, after year 5 or 6, then it starts to let up a little bit, right? No. I don't know how some shops do it, of where they work a couple hours, the owner, the boss works a couple hours and then he's gone fishing or doing this and that. But for most of us, it's time consuming. I find myself, even on Saturdays and Sundays, in the shop doing something, whether it's catching up on book work, whether it's listings on online venues, whether it's answering questions. And I do a lot of pickup and drop-offs. As far as we have our own trailers, and a lot of our customers have no way to get it here and get it back home. So what I end up doing is scheduling a lot of them on the weekends so that it's not being disruptive during the week when we're trying to get shop time. Because to me, it just doesn't pay to either have an employee go do the pickups and drop-offs, or we go together, the employee and I. It's at the end of the day, when you look at the balance sheet, it just doesn't add up. But the main goal of this video is not so much how much time you're going to put in it. It's how much time are you spending doing something for yourself and your family, especially if you've got young ones. With me, when my kids were growing up, I was working 2 jobs plus running a farm. And my thought process is I needed to be the provider. And the more I provided, the better dad I was. And that wasn't the case. Because the kids didn't see me much. If I was home, I was sleeping. And when I was doing a lot of security work, I would work nights and get home, and the kids would be getting on the bus as I was getting ready to lay down, and get some sleep. I can't stress to you guys, especially you young bucks, how important it is to spend time with your kids and your better half. And the other thing is, you need to somehow separate your work life from your home life. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you're having issues to home, the last thing you need to do is bring that issue to the shop and just sit there and mull on it all day long. Look, you're running a shop. You got to run a shop. In the same token, if you've had a bad day or things aren't going that great at the shop and it bothers you, don't take it home. Think of it as wearing a hat. At the business, you got one hat. When you get ready to leave the business for the day, take the hat off and put the family, dad or mom, because there's a lot of good female mechanics and owners out there. Whatever it is, don't bring one into the other. People think that the more money they make, the happier they're going to be. And granted, money does buy you nice toys. But if you never have any time to use them, what good are they? During what I would call our heyday, when I had numerous employees, I had 4 overseas employees, I had a lot of toys. But they never got used. Unless one of my kids asked to use it. Beautiful fishing boat. Never come out of the garage. Sat there for years. I might get it out once or twice. It was just taking up space. I had 3 side-by-sides. I only needed 1, but I had 3. I guess what I'm trying to get across to you guys is don't chase the money. The money is not the end result. It may be to try to keep things going, per se, but you got to find out what is most important to you. And what I'm trying to stress right now is a lot of times we as business owners get so wrapped up with the business that we don't do good on the other side. And that's with our significant other, giving our time to what their needs are and to our kids. And my case now is I've got the kids and I got the grandkids. So here, 2-3 years ago, I decided, you know what? We're downsizing. And what I mean by downsizing is I don't need this many employees. And we were slowly pulling back from the online venues because I knew at that point the writing on the wall was Chinese sellers were coming in anyways, and trying to compete with them on the same platform I knew was going to be tough. But what I did start doing was taking the kids fishing and making time for the kids and the grandkids. If I knew that they were coming or they wanted to do something, I would make myself available. Am I still in the shop a lot of times on the weekends? And the answer would be yes. But it's doing things that I want to do. I get done at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I start at 5 in the morning here at the shop and I work till 3. At 3 o'clock, I turn my devices off and I lock the door on the shop and we're done for the day. I know a lot of you guys work later than that, but 3 o'clock, we're done. And what I mean by turn off all devices, here's the other thing that you guys really need to understand, is just being there isn't good enough. When you go home, if you're just there, but everybody's on their phone texting each other and doing whatever, and nobody is communicating and you're not talking out loud, and I can give an example. We have one Christmas where we had the kids and the grandkids come in, and sitting there watching the kids, and instead of sitting there talking to each other, they're in the same freaking room. They're texting each other. And I look around and the grandkids, they're on iPads or their iPhones. And I said, enough's enough. Everybody, shut your devices off. This is family time, and you need to be present. You need to be more than just present. You need to be here. You guys learn to talk again. Stop texting it. Texting is fine when people are distance away and stuff like that. But as a family unit, you need to communicate. And yes, the texting and Snapchat and all the other stuff is the new technology. But there's nothing beats sitting down to the dinner table and asking how your day was around to each person, and laughing and telling stories and so forth. And the only way you're going to do that is to put your devices down and shut them off. That type of, we are, I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but like a herd group. We need to be around each other. But just being around each other isn't enough. It's talking, hugging, that kind of stuff. So, and this is probably more for you younger guys than it is the olders that have the flip phones and they don't sit there and watch videos and Snapchat and everything else. But just because you're home with the kids does not make you a good parent. A good parent is home with the kids, talking to the kids. And a lot of times I'm seeing a lot of younger guys, they're keeping their kids happy or engaged by giving them an iPhone or iPad and have them on all these things all day long. That's not parenting, and that's not being a good parent. Back when I was younger, I grew up in a rural area, so I guess safety wasn't as big a deal as it is now. 9 years old, I was fishing in the local river, and as long as I was home for lunch and dinner and then in for bed, my parents didn't worry. Actually, my grandparents, 'cause I grew up with my grandparents. And when I was 11, I was out making money mowing yards, raking up leaves in people's yards. And in the winter, I was shoveling sidewalks to make extra money. What are most 11-year-olds doing this day and age? Granted, back when I was 8 and 11, we didn't have all these devices. We didn't have a computer. We had a TV that had 3 channels, and it all depended upon where you could get the antenna to focus. Life was a lot simpler then. Now I sit there and I look at my daughter, and her biggest concern is somebody snatching up her kid, meeting somebody online and being a predator. And sorry, you parents have got more to deal with than back when I was a parent. But back when I was a parent was different than what it was when my father was a parent as well. Life changes. But you got to put down the devices and spend some quality time with your family. I don't worry about what's going on with the business in the shop until the following morning. I leave my hat with the business. And probably a lot of you older guys can relate better than you younger guys, because we look back on things and say, I wished I could have done better at this or this or this. And my big thing was, I wished I could have been more of a around dad than I was. I was a provider. I thought that was what we were supposed to be doing. But in the actual outcome of it was, they didn't want me to be just a provider. They wanted me to be a husband. They wanted me to be a dad and do stuff together. Did we do stuff together? Yeah, but it was hurried. So I guess what I'm telling you guys that are just coming up through, and you're the business owner and you're wearing numerous hats at the shop, don't make it your life. Your life is with your family, and your family needs more attention than your business does. If you find that your business is needing more attention than your family is, you might want to consider either downsizing or getting out. I'm serious. And again, the older guys, you guys that are watching, totally understand that. And maybe you guys in the comment section, the older guys, can explain to the younger guys how important it is to spend time with family. See, we only get one time around. And when the good Lord says it's your time to go, it's your time to go. You don't get a second chance at life of coming back. But you don't get to do over. So, you younger guys, heed what I'm telling you and spend time with your kids, spend time with your husband or your wife or partner, what have you. And if the business makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. But if your partner and kids go away because you're never home, that is important. Alright, so you guys in the comments, you older guys, how did you handle balancing life with your family? And if you younger guys have any questions, feel free to hit it in the comments. I'm willing to talk about anything anybody wants to hear. On that note, I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.